again, there was new names in some of the emails that I think investigators need to look at. In particular, I jumped on the name of a modeling agent who, in a similar fashion to Jean-Luc Brunel, who brought underage girls from overseas to Jeffrey Epstein for abuse. There was another man. What was interesting about this other individual is that he also apparently provided young models for Donald Trump's modeling agent.
What if the most volatile revelations about Sean Diddy Combs never appeared in a courtroom at all, but were instead hidden inside the massive archive of Jeffrey Epstein's private communications? As of November 2025, more than 20,000 pages of Epstein's emails are sitting before Congress,
and now, according to committee staff, are being combed for repeated mentions of Diddy's name.
Released by the House Oversight Committee.
We see Epstein using casual references to
already
are being
reshaping
combed for
public
repeated
views of
mentions of
Epstein's
Diddy's
interactions
name.
with Donald
In those
Trump
same documents, we
are,
see
according
Epstein
to
using
committee
casual
staffers,
references to
being
the girls
reviewed for
in
repeated
exchanges from
references to
2011
Diddy's
and
known within
2019.
those emails.
The same time frame
Epstein
federal agents
casually
say Diddy
mentions
was
the girls
allegedly hosting
in exchanges
days-long
spanning
freak-off parties
2011
that
to
witnesses described in his
2019.
2025
The very
trial.
years federal
When we place the
investigators say
timelines
Diddy
trial,
was hosting his
when we place
infamous
the timelines
multi-day
next to each
freak-off
other,
events,
it stops feeling like two
described in
separate
testimony
scandals
during
and
his
starts looking like one
2025
continuous
trial.
shadow network.
When you lay
He wants all the Trump stuff to go. He wants all the Epstein stuff to go away, right? That's his main motivation. Is he doesn't want his name mentioned with Epstein in the same sentence because that is hurting him and it's fracturing his party and his base. So he's nervous about it. But he could use Ghislaine as someone who says, I know everything there is to know about Jeffrey Epstein, and you weren't part of anything bad, because she's the most credible person to say
timeline side by side.
Prosecutors laid out a pattern
like
that began in the mid-2000s and ran for roughly 2 decades, describing how assistants allegedly arranged travel, booked luxury hotels, and bought supplies for his so-called freak-offs, where commercial companions were paid to participate in carefully staged private encounters.
When a federal jury
in open
New
court,
York
they argued that
Diddy
his
of
business
RICO
empire
conspiracy,
functioned as an
but still
enterprise,
found him
even
guilty
if the
of
jury
charges
ultimately
related
stopped
to
short of
transporting
calling it
adults
organized
for paid
crime.
encounters.
The public heard the
Offenses that
verdict
could
and
put
thought
him
the story
behind
was
bars
over,
for up
but we
to
can
2
already see how these
decades.
newly surfaced Epstein
Prosecutors
emails
portrayed
could
a
reopen that
2-decade
question
pattern
and
dating
push
back to
Diddy's
the
legal exposure from
mid-2000s in which
years toward a
assistants
potential
allegedly
life
coordinated
sentence
travel,
if prosecutors find
arranged
matching patterns
upscale
across the two men's
accommodations,
circles.
and acquired
The turning point
supplies
came
for
in
these
mid-November
orchestrated private
2025,
sessions,
when House
during
Democrats
which
first
commercial
released a
partners were
curated batch of
compensated to
Epstein's
take part
emails,
in
and
carefully
Republicans
managed
hit back
encounters.
hours later
Though
by dumping more
jurors
than
rejected the
20,000
idea that
pages
his
from what they
companies
branded the
operated as
Epstein
an
files.
organized crime enterprise.
Buried inside this political
Many
tug of
believe
war
the verdict
were
marked
messages
the final
stretching from
chapter.
2008 to
But these
2019,
newly
including the now
disclosed
viral
Epstein
line where
emails may
Epstein wrote that
reopen
Trump
that narrative.
knew about the girls
If
and described
investigators see
himself as
consistent
the one
behavior
able
or
to take him
overlap
down.
between the two men's
Those
social
emails branded
circles,
the Epstein files.
prosecutors could attempt
Buried
to
inside
reframe
this
Diddy's
political
level of
tug of war
exposure,
were messages stretching from
potentially elevating
2008
his
to
risk far
2019,
beyond the current
including the now
sentencing
viral
range.
line where Epstein
The
wrote that
turning
Trump
point
knew
arrived
about
in
the girls
mid-November
and described
2025.
himself as the
House
one able to take him
Democrats
down.
released a selected
Those
portion
emails
of
were initially
Epstein's
framed as a Trump story,
correspondence.
but staffers
Within
and outside
hours,
analysts quickly
Republicans
noticed
countered
other
by
names
publishing
recurring
the
in the
remaining
threads and blind copy chains.
20,000
Committee
plus
sources now
pages.
claim that Diddy is among the
Documents
figures
now
whose name
known as
appears
the
in multiple
Epstein
exchanges
files.
around travel,
Nested within
exclusive
this
events,
politically
and
charged
unnamed female
document
guests.
dump were
Even if
messages
the raw
from
documents do not
2008
spell out
through
exactly what those
2019,
connections were. Raw documents
including
do
the
not
now
spell out
viral
exactly what
excerpt in
those
which
connections
Epstein
were.
allegedly wrote
When we
that
remember
Trump
that
knew
this
about
same
the
period
girls
overlaps with
and
Diddy's
claimed he had
alleged
the
pattern
power
of
to bring
recruiting
Trump
and
down.
flying in women for
The
his private
initial media
gatherings,
frenzy
reinforced the research that I did on my book that Jeffrey Epstein has always viewed himself as smarter than everybody else, and he also has collected people all along the way, particularly over the 2 decades through his trafficking. And that was always to get secrets and bits of information about individuals that he could pass to other people. He trafficked.
Files were supposed to be separate chapters
but
of a long,
analysts quickly
messy
noticed
saga
additional
about power,
recurring names
influence,
woven
and
into group
exploitation.
threads and blind
Epstein's
copy
story
chains.
ended in 2019
According
when
to
he was
committee
found in his
staff,
Manhattan jail
Diddy
steward,
appears in
conspiracy
multiple
forums
exchanges
obsessed over the
referencing
idea of
travel
a secret
logistics,
client list and
exclusive
hidden compromat
gatherings,
from his private
and
island and
unnamed
flights.
female
In Diddy's
attendees.
case, the narrative was
Although
more
the emails
straightforward.
do not
A
explicitly
music mogul
define
turned
those
grand
connections,
tycoon,
the
accused in a
overlap with the
sweeping
year's
September
prosecutors
2024
say Diddy
indictment of
routinely
using his
transported
employees,
women for
record
private
label,
events
and
creates a
companies to
striking,
coerce women
if
into
not yet
degrading
fully
marathons
understood,
of private
parallel.
scenarios
On paper,
and to silence
the courtroom
witnesses with
saga
intimidation,
surrounding Diddy
payouts,
and the
or
mountain
both,
of documents
into degrading
tied to
marathons
Epstein
of
were
private
supposed to represent
scenarios,
2 different
and to
chapters
silence
in a
witnesses
long,
with
tangled
intimidation,
history of
payouts,
privilege,
or both.
influence,
By
and
June
alleged
2025,
exploitation.
jurors were hearing about
Epstein's
alleged
storyline
kidnapping,
effectively
arson,
closed in
bribery, and forced
2019
labor
when he was
woven
discovered
into his
unresponsive
lifestyle.
in his Manhattan
From the
jail
outside,
cell.
these looked like
Officials
parallel
calling it a
scandals.
self-inflicted
The emails
end.
threatened to
Yet
change that by
conspiracy
suggesting
forums
that the
kept
same
fueling
coded
theories
systems
about
and elite social
undisclosed
circles
client
may have
lists and
overlapped
troves of
more than anyone
compromats
realized.
supposedly gathered during
When
his
we read how
island
Epstein
visits and
wrote to
private
Ghislaine
flights,
Maxwell in
Diddy's
2011,
narrative
dropping a
looked more
line
linear
about
by
Trump as
comparison.
the dog that
The
hasn't
September
barked, and
2024
noting that a young
indictment
woman
cast
spent
him as a
hours at his
hip-hop
house
without triggering interest from any
who
police
allegedly
chief.
used his
We get